A lot of people hoping likewise. I think, Cedo, your 20th crack at it.
Yeah.
You can always don't mind to give up this race so we can actually do a good job at the next one.
Stephen Richards watching on from the Castrol Perkins pit as the boss, Larry Perkins, holds it in the top 10 there, 8th position at the moment. 1:14.1 his last lap. So the lap times of the cars in front of him. Murphy's done a 12.8, a 12 dead for Scaife. On lap 96, a 12.02 for Scaife. The gap down to 2.2 seconds. So Murphy and Scaife are locked in a real ding-dong here for the lead. And I've got to say, I'm really surprised by the speed of the Kmart Commodore. He seems to be able to respond to every lunge from Scaife. The gap back to Luke Gilden's pumping out all the time. 17.8 seconds back to the Super Cheap Autos Ford in third. Rusty?
I'm with Paul Radisich, Mark, and I guess everything seems to be going to plan.
Yeah, Ricardo's doing a great job out there. For a guy that hasn't driven these cars on the track or whatever, he's just doing a superb job. You know, we'll just get out there and do his allocated number of laps, and we'll keep him going as long as he can and wait for the big sprint at the end.
Will you get back in the car then?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'll be in for what I would expect, the big sprint to the finish.
Just quickly, an incident early on with Rick Kelly. Can you tell us what happened there?
He went a little wide. I dived down the inside of the tank, then he came across on me and went around. So maybe I shouldn't have been there, but then maybe he shouldn't have moved across. I guess just a racing incident.
Nice to see you smiling, mate. Have an enjoyable rest of your weekend.
Regardless how it goes, we've had a great weekend so far, and gee, wouldn't it be nice to stand on the podium?
It would be.
Thanks, Rusty.
You could see him trying to backtrack back to that Rick Kelly thing, and I think he put it in that little part of your brain that says, I want to forget about it. Paul Radisich teaming up with Rickard Rydell, who, by the way, was meant to make his V8 debut 9 years ago at the Sandown 500. A big lot come from the Holden Young Lions entry of Reed and Ricciardello. Yeah, Rickard Rydell was meant to drive here 9 years ago when he was slated to drive with Bradley Jones back in 1994 and had to pull out at the last minute. So this is his first crack in a V8 supercar.
Well, that devastating lap of Scaife's on 96 on 1:12.02 shows not only a very strong race car, but he's got the lead down, the gap between himself and Murphy to 1.5 seconds. So continuing the onslaught, continuing to open the gap back to third place. Let's have a look at the Strathfield replay of the Holden Young Lions Commodore. Big brake lock up there, but managed to keep it on the racing line.
Not very many people with good pace at the moment. There's Murphy and Scaife in the low to mid 12s. A lot of people in the 13s, and as Paul Radisich said before, Rickard Rydell is one of them that's actually continuing to find pace as he goes. He's obviously finding a level of comfort in the car. Unfortunately, Sid, I have to say that car of yours doesn't seem to be turning a lot of pace right at the moment.
No, it's it actually hasn't been turning a lot of pace throughout the race. Once Craig got out there on new tyres after that pace car, it actually turned in some good times, but it started to drop away a lot now. So, but it has been eating up its tyres today. That's some of the problem with the car, as well as this miss that we got. But it's things that we're going to learn from this race, meaning to take to the next one.
There's the comparison lap times between John Cleland and Craig Lowndes in their battle. Up to 1.4 seconds at one stage, down to 5 1/1000ths on another. So could be polluted lap times as they pick their way through traffic.
That's for 18th and 19th.
Darryl?
I'm down here with Brad Jones. Brad, it wasn't a very good start today, been turned around, but things are looking pretty good now with JB time-wise.
Well, that's very true, Darryl. You know, got hit twice, and really it's very hard to come back from that base at the start with a 6th, and I thought this is pretty good. It's a good position to start from. But JB's doing a great job. He's just a little off the leader space, and we're just past Larry, so we're marching up towards the top 5. Hopefully, by the end of the race, we can get in it.
I guess there's a few dark clouds starting to sneak in behind us again here now. What's the plan from now on to the end?
Well, it really depends on the weather, as you said, and we just need to see what's going to go on. Hopefully it'll stay away. We'll just stop for a quick splash at the end and get a good result.
How was the car after the hit earlier? It's been fine?
Steering's been a little bit, but obviously with JB going as quick as he is, it hasn't knocked the pace around too much. So no, the car's pretty good. It's just one of those unfortunate things. I thought it'd be a good idea for me to start and keep out of trouble, but it's always the way. It never quite works out.
And there's another new one coming for Bathurst, another new car?
Well, yeah, I'm not sure which car we're going to run, but we'll have our third car finished by then. So we'll just see what happens when we give it a run a week or two beforehand and make a decision then which one we take up there.
All the best for the rest of the day.
Thanks, Daryl.
Yeah, these guys decided to go with John Bowes' car for this event. Hence the green and black machine carrying Brad's number. So your PlayStation 2 race score, take you through it. First is Murphy and Kelly. Second is Mark Skate. Third is Luke Youlden at the moment. Fourth is Simon Wills. Fifth is Mark Larkham. Rickard Rydell is sixth. Longhurst, Bow and Perkins. And then Noski make up our top 10. Take a break from Sandown. Be back with more right after this.
There are some twists and turns here in the Sandown 500.
10 minutes away from the chopper.
We're just hearing a message.
You just call it, mate.
This is Rain on the track again, and we're looking at Scaife attacking Greg Murphy for the lead. He's been whittling down this lead. Don't forget, not since round one has Mark Scaife tasted victory. There's been a sweep of forwards at the top of the podium since. But now he has the chance to strike back. There's a 26-second gap to third place, Luke Youlden, but he is only, well, less than a second in front of Simon Wills. If either of those two teams gets on the podium this weekend, it will be a remarkable achievement. In fact, the same can be said for fifth-placed Mark Larkham and, indeed, sixth-placed Rickard Rydell. But up front, two familiar faces.
Scaife's in a bad position here.
And what a battle.
Youlden has struggled to maintain the pace of these two leading Commodores. It's out to 26 seconds back to the Super Cheap Autos car. So it's a two-car war now. Kmart Racing Commodore, he's responded to Scaife's attack on the previous lap, but right up behind him.
Okay, I'll say a couple more yet.
So there's the battle over the last 4 laps. You can see Scaife chomp, chomp, chomp. And then Murphy responding again. What's Murph got left in this car? We've seen a few puffs of smoke under brakes and through the corners.
And both of these guys will run out of their current fuel window at about lap 128. We're estimating a race finish around lap 148. But if it does rain wholesale, they'll come in and take wets, but they'll take the opportunity of topping up as well. That'll at least get them through to the end of the motor race in terms of fuel. Got 20 looping around down at turn 7. The Wade Johnson car. Second of the Orcon entries, and I think he's done it on his own. Picks the throttle up and just gets himself out of what would have been a pretty sticky position. So one of the things that might actually help at the moment is there is a spit of rain and they do have to put some other rubber on. At least that cleans up the fuel issue, and then it's just a battle of the track conditions and what tyres you've got on through to the checkered flag.
It's very hard to pick this weather. You can hear the radio signals, all the chat in pit lane. Where's the weather? Where's it coming from? How long before it gets here?
In dry conditions here, you burn on average, depending on which team and precisely your lap speed at that time, but on average about 2 litres per lap, and obviously 120 litres. You don't get to use all of that because there's some in the fuel rails and the collectors, so you've got just under 60 laps worth of range in the cars around this track.
What a great battle.
Weather.
Murphy, Scaife locked in at Youlden, back to 28.7. The Super Cheap Autos car is losing a lot of time now to these leading Commodores. And there's Simon Wills coming up behind the Super Cheap Autos car. Look at the last 4-lap comparison in the battle for third. Wills is taking big chunks out of that lead as well. So he's only, well, there's nothing in it. He's right on the back bumper of the Super Cheap Autos car as we speak.
Did you hear that message to Scaife? The message was that Kmart have yet to do their brake stop. That's pretty significant.
Yep. That's a big factor, isn't it?
Yet to do their compulsory brake stop. That will add time to their stop.
Well, it's a difficult scenario to juggle in terms of tactics. Some teams choosing to do their pad stop early, some leaving it to late. And this is a classic example of where you want that stuff out of the way early. So, Bolton Racing team looking in the box seat.
Have a listen to this car for a lap around this track. It's a great bit of road.
Scaife and Murphy. View from the cockpit, you wonder who's turned the lights out on Sandown with the clouds that are coming across from the right-hand side. Turn 1. Looks so much clearer from our cameras, but you can just see how difficult it's getting from inside the car. Right up behind Greg Murphy. Mark Scaife now applying the blowtorch.
107 laps completed. We're on 108. Estimating the race will finish about 148. And all sorts of things are going to come into play here in terms of the time it takes to refuel these cars. Whether the front pad change on the Kmart car is going to cost them bulk time. Prio and Ingle a bit further back in the pack. If you're wondering about the change in race distance from 161 laps, there was a delay in the start of the race to repair some damaged Armco fencing. As a result, it's become a timed event. It must finish no later than 4:45 Eastern. Murphy, Scaife locked in at Eildon, back to almost half a minute now behind these two. But the pressure weighing on the Kmart team is they've got to do this front brake pad change. They've got to have it completed by lap 120. That's the close of the window.
Glenn, the toughest thing about these conditions where there's a sprinkle of water on the screen is that it's a new adventure in grip every time you get to the next corner, isn't it?
It actually happened in my stead out there then, and it was actually dry all the way down the top over the back there, but then actually coming onto the back straight, and you couldn't actually see the road to see how shiny it was. There was actually cars spearing off in front of me everywhere. It actually gave me a...
Hit this lap, Murph, hit this lap.
Aha.
The rain's coming.
The rain. So Murph's coming in.
Some word that that incident that we saw Tony Longhurst ending up in a spin up at turn 4, Paul Morris has been pinged for that, and he'll do a drive-through now. Crucial moment.
Wet, fellas.
HRT coming in as well, so this works out well for Murphy.
Guys are in, so just be careful.
And remember that Murphy's got to do pads.
Move your wheel, Timbo.
Pressure is on the crews now. Don't get this wrong. They've got a big load of fuel to take on, but they've got to get this stop right. There's a problem here for Murphy. Delayed coming in. Rusty's on the spot.
I could not believe it. Jamie Whincup got given the thumbs up to go. He endeavoured to leave pit lane as he'd been instructed, and Murph was right there. This is going to be so costly. They haven't even started doing the stop yet, and there's damage to the rear wing of Murphy's car as well.
Oh, what a disaster. Absolute Kmart team. 18 seconds, they've turned Scaife around. He's got enough fuel now to go to the end of the race. He's on wet weather tyres. And the rain pouring down here at Sandown Raceway. It's all happening.
Taco, the wing's fucked on the car.
Oh, I think he said the wing is damaged on the car. So Murphy, after leading this one, tremendous show of speed from the Kmart team.
You can't go anywhere with that problem.
It's all come unglued in a matter of seconds.
How quickly it all comes unstuck, that's the thing, isn't it?
Isn't it incredible? The blocked pit entry.
Bolts are broken on the rear wing. The bolts are broken on the rear wing.
Oh.
You can't tape it on there. It's got massive amount of load on it.
Not even with the world's biggest roller gaffer tape. Rusty, what's going on?
They've got a massive roll of gaff, as you mentioned, Matty. It's about the size of a 20-centimetre ruler in width. They've broken the right side of the mount. Somehow, I don't know how, the bolts have come out of the mount on the actual wing, so only the left-hand side is bolted down. Garth Tander can't get out. He's stuck here at the moment. One of the tyres from the Kmart car in the road. Tander finally gets going. But this is disaster for car 51 and for the Kmart team.
At the Queensland 500 last year, it was a fuel problem. At Bathurst, it was that famous and infamous 5-minute penalty. The Sandown 500 and the...